Hi, class. Hi, Professor Gardino. So this is my video blog for primary source assignment number 3. So for this assignment, I eventually chose the topic of the Civil War, thinking that I'd be able to get a lot of diaries and newspaper articles, reports, and letters from the soldiers and from anyone else. So for my assignment, I narrowed it down to actually, first of all, it was hard to narrow this down because I couldn't find very many sources about the Civil War that were going to be easy enough for me to use for this assignment. I wanted to have enough information, and so I stumbled upon this book by James B. Jones Jr. Jones is actually a historian, and he works in Tennessee to preserve the history of his state. And he wrote this book, and it's actually composed of tons and tons of excerpts from letters and newspaper articles and diaries from soldiers as well as civilians in the Civil War. The book is divided between year and month, depending on when the context of the excerpt took place. So I narrowed my paper down to pages 187 to 202, which is January through March of the year 1864. I decided for my paper I was going to just talk about how the war was affecting Tennessee. So how it was affecting the soldiers and the nurses and everyone who was in the war, how it was affecting the families who had people in the war, and how it was affecting the society who lived around the war. So basically how it affected Tennessee in general. In this book you'll see there are a lot of crimes going on around the cities. There's a newspaper report of this one small part of Tennessee where children were actually creating wars between all of the children were split in half and have these wars where they would actually make fake weapons. And so it was just a lot of content showing a definite change in society with the war moving in. And you would also see, it was also good to see the different, the contrast between the newspaper articles, the diaries, and the letters, and the content that each one would display. So a newspaper article would be more slanted in its views, and a diary would be a lot more raw and have a lot more details that maybe the writer wouldn't want other people to read because it's a diary, so it should be just for them, whereas a letter would be kind of shielded so that the people reading it won't get too worried about the writer, most likely the soldier who's writing the letter home. So yeah, I went about this paper just writing about all the different accounts from this book, and just going through all the outline questions. You know, who is the audience for this? Like who's the direct audience for the diaries as opposed to the newspaper articles, and how were they like presented? So the newspaper articles would be slanted, and the diaries would be more raw. Reading through this, like 12 pages of this book, was actually really interesting. I didn't know much about the Civil War, let alone Tennessee in the Civil War, and it seems like it would be a very hard time to live out there. So yeah, hopefully this paper is interesting enough. It's going to be interesting to add in the next few pages just because it was hard to find secondary sources. A few of them are found in different libraries, and I'm not able to access them at this time, so I have to find some new ones. Yeah, so I hope everyone's doing good on their assignments. See you guys soon.